switching to economy and jobs, what policies would you change or implement to encourage the creation of private sector jobs?
Well, thank you. I do have quite a bit of experience in that very subject, creating jobs. There's a multitude of things we need to do, and let me be very specific. The number one thing is the income tax structure. The amount of money is taken out of small businesses' pockets every day that limits their ability to grow, and growth means jobs. The fair tax is an issue I think we should discuss. It's something that we should take a hard look at. The Internal Revenue Service and the money taken from families and small businesses cannot endure if we want to get our economy back on track and truly create jobs. The second part of the equation is government regulation. In the multitude, 30 or 35 companies, small companies I run to this very day, burden on the government's back and my businesses through OSHA. In the oil and gas business, we are inundated with forms and regulations and things we can and cannot do. We've got to shrink the size of government, and we've got to shrink the gigantic proportions of regulations that all small business tolerate, from the income tax forms that burdensome where you have to hire an accountant. If you're in the trucking business, you have to take and have logs. You can only drive 70 hours a day, 10 hours off. The list is endless of what the government does. You stop.
All right, thank you. Jim Anderson?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we need to cut to the chase. We've been doing this for decades. We've been talking about taxes and reducing taxes and tax cuts and overhaul. And what has to happen is people need to be elected like common sense conservatives like myself to go to Washington, vote to overhaul the tax system with the fair tax. That is the bottom line. No more political rhetoric. Overhaul the taxes. Why do we do what we do in our country? Because of the tax code. They control us through the tax code. They manipulate us through the tax code. The IRS has to go. The 16th Amendment has to go. We need to put in a consumption tax. We need people with courage to go and do that, not play the game so they can just receive more contributions for their campaigns, ladies and gentlemen. It's been happening for too long.
Schodorf.
Well, for good or bad, I am the only senator who's actually voted on taxes here, a public official, and I voted to cut the M&E tax, machinery and equipment tax. I voted to lower the unemployment insurance tax. I voted to eliminate the franchise tax. And I voted to eliminate the estate tax for the state of Kansas. We have to continue keeping the taxes that were cut in the Bush plan. We have to keep those low because they are set to go back up here next year. We need, as a national congresswoman or man and the state, to work together to bring incentives so that businesses want to come back to Kansas, and that we will be competing with other states when this economy is coming back. So there are a number of things that we need to do to try to bring back jobs and businesses to Kansas.
Thank you.
Having run manufacturing companies here in South Central Kansas, I know all too well that the federal government discourages jobs from being put right here in South Central Kansas. I was there when OSHA came. I was there when the EPA came. Those folks are not interested in making sure that we are competitive and that South Central Kansas is a place where capital can be attracted. You know, the state went the wrong way in this fall. It passed an increase in sales tax. And the country on January 1st will go the wrong way again. Dividends taxes up, ordinary income taxes up, capital gain taxes up. These are all things that discourage risk takers and entrepreneurs from coming to Kansas. So if we're talking about growing jobs here, we've got to create an environment where we encourage people to bring their businesses here. Today, the United States has the second highest corporate income tax rate in the Western world. That's a lot of countries where capital providers can go and take their jobs, not here. We need to fix the tax code too. We need to repeal the Internal Revenue Code and go to a much different tax structure where folks in Washington, D.C. aren't looking to give out favors and are looking to make friends with folks who need a break in the tax code. Thank you.
Thank you.